Ladies and gentlemen of the United States of America and the rest of this beautiful place that we call Earth, welcome to a very special edition of What the Show. AJ and Coy talk movies for points. This is a completely original idea. We got this from no other YouTube show. This is unlike anything that's ever taken place in the entire history of the internet. You are here for groundbreaking content where people, for lack of better term, fight about movies. They're going to duke it out, battle it out in 5 hard-hitting questions that we have prepared for our 2 contestants, AJ and Coy. And speaking of them, you don't want to hear me ramble on, but you're going to have to because we have other things to discuss first. We are sponsored by StreamYards this episode in the sense that if you give money, we don't get the money. It will go on to somebody that needs it more than us. And I think we all in this community have heard about everything happening with the Estes family and Josh Estes battling a very important battle right now. And so we are going to be collecting all the StreamYard donations for the month of December to go to them. So this month is all about supporting our good friend and brother, Josh Estes. And so definitely reach down into those pockets and bring out a lot of cash because they need it. With that being said, we are going to bring in our first.
I saw Wallace Shawn die. Wallace Shawn is dead.
It's 2 minutes for roping. I like that. You're a jabroni.
And here they are. All right.
I got to hear that quiet in real life last weekend, and I gotta say, changed my DNA. Really affected my bone marrow. It's a moment in your life. You won't forget it.
The intro music?
Oh, at the end when Johnny Lawrence goes quiet. I did a panel with Zapka last week, and he yelled at the audience, and I got to hear it quiet from like 8 inches away. Changed my life.
Oh, beautiful.
It was revelatory.
Oh man. Well, let's get into it. How are you feeling? Let's start with AJ. How are you feeling about this match?
I'm feeling good. You know, I'm going up against the best at his best, and that's what we're here for. I'm getting super caffeinated this evening and prepared to just rock on and talk about some movies for points.
For points. I'm excited, man. AJ Lancaster has some of the most esoteric and broad taste in film of anyone I know. The man watches the weird stuff like I do, as well as the mainstream, which I respect. Always have very good conversations with him. Excited to make that competitive as we movie talk for points.
Let's go.
All right. Well, I think it's time we bring in our judges because we at What the Show are not going to be judging this time. It was too heartbreaking. We run this show. We decided we don't need to go through the suffering thing of having to pick between our friends. We would rather make somebody else do it. So with that, let's bring in our first judge. And he looks like he's in the middle of something. Hi. Judge Terrell.
Hey guys. Yeah, I'm just catching some fish in Ingham Crossing right now. You know, I gotta save up my bells real quick. Just let me know when we're live, and I'll be ready to go.
Yeah, we're live.
Yep.
Oh,
it's been about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Right.
Oh, hey guys.
Okay.
How you doing? Good to see everybody.
Thanks.
Hey, happy Wednesday, huh? Yeah.
Happy Wednesday. Right on. You may or may not know that John Lastrina, our judge here, was the former MVP of our last movie speed rounds that we did. And so we thought it very fitting for him to return as a judge. And moving on, Our another judge, another John. You know him.
I'd like
John.
I'd like to thank, now that he's gotten the Switch and Xbox sponsors out of the way, we also have Coca-Cola and Klein Tools, of course, which have the bottle opener for my Coke. So we got a lot of sponsors in addition to StreamYards tonight.
Got a lot of
I
bills.
could go make an Athletic Greens real quick if you guys want me to chug that for money.
Will you be pouring milk in your Coca-Cola this evening?
I don't think so.
It's for the best.
I already drank it post-workout. We're good on that. I'll just drink this fast and mix with it in my stomach.
That is awesome. We do have one more judge. I want to see if he's ready. Oh, okay. I'll bring him in. This is oh wow. This is awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, the famous Judge Reinhold.
Let's have order. Let's have order in this court, please. I'll be judging, and I can't have any tomfoolery as we talk about movies for points, which is a very serious matter. As you can see, I've dressed very seriously to handle this courtroom of ideas. Let's get to it.
Love it. Well, I think we have one more person, or peoples, I should say, to bring in. We have, of course, this would not be complete without the Deet Cam. And they're waving and smiling. I don't know if they're going to say anything, but they're there.
Wave and smile, honey.
We've learned, again, this is a completely original idea that we're having here tonight, but we learned that there always has to be a couch where two people that share a name sit. We pop in and out sometimes with thoughts and feelings, and we give some facts. So we're here making sure you gentlemen are staying honest, hitting us with the facts, and I'm just excited to watch people talk about movies for points.
Nice.
Love it.
And
Awesome.
before we get started, we did get our first donation before the stream started from Hudsonizer, donating $5,
All right.
saying, I've been reading Brian Michael Bendis' Miles Morales run, and it's really great. Now for movies. What boxing movies should I watch? So let's everybody quick give a boxing movie before we get started.
Ooh.
And I am going to say Cinderella Man.
Ooh,
I'll go Never Back Down.
Some of that was filmed in Orlando.
Oh,
I mean, I'm saying all the whole Rocky through Creed journey is hard to top. You got to go classic, but you got to go all the way to the modern. It is the rare prequel, sequel, reboot that lands the Rocky Creed saga.
Specifically this time of year because he fought Drago on Christmas. Yeah, I just mentioned Rocky IV specifically. It's a Christmas movie.
Montage-tastic, Rocky 4.
How quickly we're forgetting about the classic 2013 film Grudge Match.
I like how it took you a second to remember the
Nero.
I
had to Google
Right.
old man boxing movie. I know this is one of
How quickly we and I forget 2013's Grudge Match.
exactly.
I'm taking a point away from Judge Toretto. Can I, as a judge, can I do that for
Yeah,
bringing up Grudge Match?
There'll be a
for
final
me?
judge score.
Oh, okay. Well, not that it's better than any of the Rocky movies, but perhaps because you haven't seen it, I would recommend you go watch Bleed for this with Miles Teller, which is a highly underrated boxing film.
And general fight film, nothing beats Warrior. I just got to give Warrior some love. It's number one.
We do love some more.
Best sports film of all time.
I wish that us action people had watched somebody that liked Warrior in the past, but I can't think of anybody.
So being that we are in the movie space that we are all in, we know some famous critics, and one critic who was part of a movie that has a boxing scene involved that he was involved in. I'm going to go with Postal because Jeff Snyder was there when it was filmed.
That's true. That is true. That's a good story.
Okay.
That is a good story.
Bethany?
All right.
I'm taking a point away from the Deacons as well for their microphone, which is cool.
Yeah, the mic is a
That's
little
right, that's
low.
right.
Or are you all?
So
Two
who won
people
that
are
round?
already -1 this evening.
Yeah.
Man, we're already in the negative.
We're in the negatives.
Can you hear us now, Judge Ryan?
Good shape,
better.
earning the first hole.
To get us out of the negatives, I'm going to bring up another great boxing film, The Fighter Kid, because my hometown. I just got to give Mickey
Great
Ward
movie.
some love.
Christian
Yeah.
Bale's great in that movie.
Lowell.
The Proud of Lowell Kid.
All right, Juice.
All righty.
take
Yeah,
the fight.
let's.
We're gonna drop out and we'll be
Talking
back in
garbage
between
boy?
rounds.
Perfect. All right. The Deacons are not as vain as I am. They were willing to drop out. I said, no way, Jose. I need to be on screen. Just kidding. It worked out that way. But I think we're gonna start. I think let's do it. Why not? I have a timer. So how it's gonna work is there are gonna be 5 questions that we are going to ask our 2 contestants. They will each have a minute to give their answer and their first argument, and then they'll have a minute of rebuttal, and then 30 seconds of final argument. This is a totally original format that we came up with. All right. And so I think let's get ready with that first question. I think we'll have I guess we just may as well just have AJ go first. I don't know how we
I'm the challenger, so yeah.
Okay, we'll have AJ go first for this question. Maybe we'll rotate, maybe not. We'll see how spicy we are feeling. The first question, I'll read the question just for everyone to hear, and then I will start the timer, and AJ can give his answer, and then go on from there. So the first question, since Barbie is looking stellar, what other classic toy would you like to see a movie based on? And go.
So the thing is, when you think about most toys, the first thing I think about are those fad toys that we grow up with. Things like Stretch Armstrong or Rock'em Sock'em Robots in the 70s, or if you go into the late 90s into the early 2000s, when I grew up, it was like Tamagotchis and Furbies. What do those things all have in common? They all broke. They all died. I want to see a movie about a fad toy that can stand the test of time, that'll be here longer than us, literally. And that is the humble story of the Pet Rock. The Pet Rock movie will be a multi-generational tale, a hybrid stop motion and live action in the vein of a Marcel the Shell with shoes on, but also with tones that go into a Toy Story, where we get to see what it's like to be a child in multiple generations, and how it's always the same to be a kid, how it's always hard, but what's there for you is
and time.
You call time, so we'll talk more.
We will talk more. We certainly will. All right, we have the Pet Rock movie. Love it. And now next up, Coy, let's see what you got. The timer will start when you begin to speak.
I want you to think about movies of your youth and how often they were about finding an item, whether you're collecting something or seeking something. I always loved a goblet or a sword or a mission, and I want to have that feeling of seeking this item. And I want to mix that with broad existential crises, a la The Matrix, visuals, a la Into the Spider-Verse. I want to combine what it means to perceive reality itself with hunting for an object, with a toy that no one thought could be a movie. And that is, of course, the 80s classic Viewfinder. I want you to plug your eyes into a viewfinder and slide that disc around and go on a journey through space-time as you control reality, as you become the ones who find the view of what reality is, all while seeking the ultimate in perception.
All right. And time. All right. We have Pet Rock versus Viewfinder. That is going to be fun. All right, AJ, you have a minute for your rebuttal. Fight the Viewfinder.
Rebuttal.
What's a group rebuttal?
It's we go back and forth.
Oh, perfect. Love it.
Yep,
all right.
So
all right. Go.
So I'm pretty sure, Coy, that Avatar 2 does look great, but I don't know what this looks like as a film. And I can say the same thing about mine, where for me it's I'm looking for something that will show, like I said, what it's like to be a kid in multiple ages, and how even though, say, those friends like a Tamagotchi or Furby, that are those friends of your childhood youth fade away, you still have that rock to fall back on. It's there for you, whether it's family you find or family that you have.
And I love the solidness of a rock, but I also love the experience of seeing anime and live action and visual effects, the like of which we've never seen before, while peering through what perception itself is, all while going on a noble quest for this viewfinder. This is a franchise. This is an experience. This is altering children's and adults' takes on what it means to see.
What is the plot?
You are on a mission to find an item in order to see into another reality because you imagine things. You are able to tap into something, but you can't quite get there. So you know you're missing something. Like when a dog smells a fart, it might smell it differently. We don't know. But it might see a fart. We don't know. It has different senses. We need this item, this viewfinder, to detect farts, much a way a dog can. So it's a dog fart quest journey.
I don't. Okay. I mean, with me, I was thinking something where it's kind of touching. Like I said, you get that Marcel the Shell with shoes on with kind of meets Toy Story kind of feel where, you get to see kind of how scary it was like in the era that we grew up in that post 9/11 world, but also kind of how kids growing up today going through COVID and, the social changes of the 70s. You do something that's a multi-generational family.
We don't know if ghosts exist. We don't know how the predator can see. With Viewfinder, you get to find out.
10 seconds.
That sounds
fun. I love the moment in Everything Everywhere All at Once with The Rock. But if that was the whole movie, it would lose its impact. I want perception.
Not the whole movie. This
All
is something
right.
that relates back to the people.
Time. All right. That was an excellent rebuttal. I enjoyed that very much. Was I paying attention? Yes. But who is paying attention even more? But so much that they have something to say. We have the DCAM coming in. Yes.
Hi, yes. Great argument so far.
Talking to another point right there.
There is some great facts have been mentioned so far. I also just wanted to say that I did not think that in a fight about a pet rock and a viewfinder that we would get the quote in a post 9/11 world mentioned. But here we are. So far, we're really feeling the heat. Any facts that you have?
I do have one more of a question than a fact. I believe it was called the Viewmaster, but I'm maybe I'm product.
You're right.
So
I'm very ill.
Check is what it is called. I did look up on eBay what both of these things were going for, and people did have it in as viewfinder. If that makes you feel better, and there is
it's the Mandela effect. I got Berenstein Bears
that you can find, so it might be a Viewmaster. That is our only fact.
How much was it?
It was $10 for the Big Bird viewfinder, and it was very cute. It had little pink sunglasses on it. There you go. You can get it on eBay.
All right.
So now we have 30
Awesome.
seconds at the end, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you each get that 30-second rebuttal.
Okay.
So for this question, we'll start with AJ and rotate that for the next question. But yes, AJ, we will start the 30 seconds when you start talking. Go.
I love big sci-fi spectacles as much as the next person, but what I love more are those things that you can bring a family together. You can tell those stories and kind of make your generations relate. That's why I think about it's so cool about the possibility of a pet rock movie. Something that is a found item that's a silly little thing that ends up being passed on from generation to generation. It's never meant to be cool. It just becomes part of your family. We all have those little knickknacks, and the fact that a pet rock is a toy that's that kind of thing is something that I think is beautiful, something to be cherished.
Something to be cherished. Someone else to be cherished is Coy. Let's hear that 30-second rebuttal to end it all, the final be all. And when you begin.
So I was saving my plot for the end, but AJ tried to sneak it in there. But the actual plot of the movie, which I was saving for this rebuttal, is two girls lose their family in a horrible accident, and one older sister with their younger sister have to go on this journey to find these little discs that their mother left behind. They think it's more of a journal, something that's going to be more written to discover things, but they find these discs, these circles, these things that they need to find this item to view through. They realize their parents are both in tech, and they invented this thing to see through reality. So in order to connect to their family again, they have to view this Viewmaster and reconnect through space and time. Sci-fi epic quest kid stuff.
And time. So I think it being very fitting, we should have you each give a name to your movie before the judges begin to judge. If you have one ready.
Pet rock.
Didn't see that coming.
You would say it, and still the punchline hit.
Master the Viewmaster.
Both
you
masters?
don't think it's
Beginning and
Viewfinder.
end?
You gotta make sure it's like Page Master, but Viewmaster.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's go in. We're going to go in order of our judges. So they will each rotate who starts first. So we will start with Judge Toretto. Give us your thoughts and make your pick on who you think is the winner.
All right, so we got a pet rock and a viewfinder. Very interesting. Very concerning though that there's no talk of stones in this pet rock movie. I mean, what about them? Why are we leaving them out? That doesn't seem very fun or very fair. And I mean, I was really hoping to see like who is going to lead this. I'm assuming you want to build a franchise. Who's the centerpiece of that franchise? I don't know. I didn't see a lead rock in that pitch. And also, too, how much is this going to cost? Okay, all right. Seems like it's a big budget movie franchise. I mean, how much are we going to throw at this pet rock? And then the viewfinder, I mean, like, really, I think we need a visionary director to lead this film who has the vision for this viewfinder. I didn't hear a visionary director. Who is it going to be? And then nothing talked about, catering at all in the production of this film. Therefore, looking at my notes, I guess after flipping this imaginary coin, let's go AJ.
Okay. All right. Our first vote is in. AJ, that's the first vote. We will move on to Judge Reinhold.
First of all, perhaps in the future, don't ask him to give us titles that help neither of your cases. I gotta say, the correct answer we were looking for was Micronauts, but since neither of you said that, I gotta go case by case on your suggestions. Now, AJ, the idea of a broken toy sounds fascinating. Then he gave us a pet rock, which doesn't break. I thought we were going to get Teddy Ruxpin going, rrr, 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 or Evel Knievel flying off of a cliff. But now we've got your idea, which the technology is there, as someone already mentioned, everything everywhere all at once. The technology is there to take it into further stories. I'd be curious to see that. But it's the breaking down, it's the Shogun Warrior that you lose parts to that I thought we were going to see more of in this. But at first I thought it was a really Coy, there's a cough button. I got to take a point off of you right there.
That's fair. That's just math.
But on to you, Coy. There's the viewfinder is the part of a camera you look through to see what the picture you're shooting looks like. But the Viewmaster, I am as excited about it. I don't want to say that I have one right here, but I have one right here. So it's a Viewmaster, ladies and gentlemen. And so for that, you warmed my heart to bring this toy to life. The only thing I would change is I think they need the Viewmaster to get whatever it is they're going for, because I think the magic inside this that you could have with all the different, season of the future, season of the past, these different dimensions, whatever. There's all sorts of things there. But I like where you started with your idea, enough for me to give you the thumbs up for it. So yeah, I think you're my winner. I gotta go with Coy.
All right. One Coy, one AJ. It all comes down to Judgmental John.
Well, I have to say, as a studio exec, if we were being pitched these as actual movies, I would 100% go with AJ's, because filming a family with a rock is a lot less expensive than 6 different genres that Coy wanted. But on a pure idea basis, I think Coy actually brought it home at the end there, because he was being very vague and AJ was pressing him on, what's it actually about? And in his closing argument, he actually painted sort of a picture of that. And I sort of swung. I was definitely going with AJ before that, but once I sort of got the idea that it was, family and tying things together with seeing the different scenes, I think I got to go with Coy based mainly on the closing arguments.
All right.
Sometimes it's when you give the argument in movies with points, not even how you argue.
Also, you didn't cast The Rock as The Rock. I mean,
it was right there.
Casting would have helped.
You could do a Chris Rock, Kid Rock, The Rock combo. Is this family?
As each generation changes, you change the actor.
We shouldn't give Kid Rock money, but we could cast these rocks.
Also, AJ, you can break the rock. It's called gravel. You just smash it and then it's broken.
Or wrap it in paper.
Yeah, I have to say, Judgmental John, I agree with you. When he painted the picture of what the movie would be, Coy kind of won there as well. Then lost me with dog farts, but then came back again.
I was clearly unprepared for the dog fart twist, but we got back.
As the audience will be.
They will be back. We have our winner for our first round.
Yes.
And I think we'll bring in the Deet Cam just to recap and see if they have anything to add to this round. If not, they can just go right back. We'll see. Anything to add, Deet Cam?
I loved the judging there. I agree. I personally think that the titles may have helped because I enjoyed Pet, Long Pause, Rock. Do we have any Streamlabs before we hit into round 2?
Not at the moment. Streamlabs.com/whattheshow. Once again, all donations are going to Josh Estes for the month. We're currently sitting at 90 for the month. Let's see how we can what we can do for help for him tonight. So,
and I will say the most compelling argument for me was Evil Teddy Ruxpin. Please make that happen. I would watch that movie day in and day out.
That doll that had the creepy laugh that would I forget what it was. It was some little girl doll. The commercial they play the creepy ass laugh. I wanted a horror movie on that as one of your answers, but
Teddy Ruxpin's
unfortunate.
sidekick for Teddy Ruxpin, Grubby, is could be the most terrifying creature of all time in a movie.
Love it. All right. Well, I think we're ready to move on to question 2.
Can I just ask a technical question? Did you throw them out because of their last thing they said, or is it just time for them to leave?
It was time. A little bit of both. Column A, column B. So we're gonna go into question 2. We'll have Coy be the front runner for this one, and so Coy will begin with his answer and his argument. I will read question 2 as it appears on the screen, and then Coy can begin his argument, and I'll start the 60-second timer when he's ready. So question 2, what video game franchise deserves a live action movie?
This one wasn't easy because there's so many video games that deserve a live action franchise, but there's only one that might actually solve current movies' problems, and that's what I always like to do. When I look at the state of filmmaking, I go, man, why is blank making so much money when it's not that good? And in this case, I'm thinking sci-fi is in a bit of a lull in the broad, big sense. Medium-range sci-fi is doing well, low-budget sci-fi is doing well, but big tentpole sci-fi is not what it once was. Another franchise that is in that same rut right now is dinosaurs. I don't know why the Jurassic movies make $1 billion. They are not $1 billion scripts. They're not $1 billion acted. They just because people love dinosaurs. You know what has sci-fi and dinosaurs? Turok. I want a Turok movie where we've got cybernetics, badass Conan the Barbarian-esque hijinks, and dinosaurs. It's a franchise waiting to happen. There's no reason it shouldn't exist, and that'll help us heal from these Jurassic World movies.
And time. All right, perfect. We can go on to AJ with his answer. AJ, your 60 seconds starts when you begin talking.
So I'm also going to sci-fi movies and a big budget sci-fi, and I'm picking actually it was through the same console generation where Turok debuted. It was the best-selling narrative video game. That is Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII could be pitched to a studio executive of what if you took the deep introspective sci-fi themes of even possibly like a Blade Runner and had a backdrop of environmental crisis that was something akin to Chinatown, and you could base something off of that, off of a relatable known IP that's currently having a successful video game remake reboot going on right now. The characters are well known, fleshed out for many. It's something where it can be fun action, but also something where we have a deep character story within Cloud and Tifa's adventures. Barrett going through Midgar, which is this deep, dreary sci-fi. We'll just call it that for my round.
Okay,
we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Time. All right. So we can begin to dive into our next round. I think Coy may have lost about 20 seconds of audio there with the camera drop. So I might give a little extended grace for AJ to catch him up on what he missed. But other than that, I think let's start the timer and let the rebuttal begin.
My cat jumped out of my lap and stole my headphones. It was very dramatic. Spidey Cat cameoed as he leapt away. Okay, rebuttal. I personally think that combining two genres is always interesting, especially when it comes to video games. And somehow we've never had a Savage Land movie. We've never had a Conan the Barbarian with dinosaurs. We've never had anything of this scale. I love an environmental science commentary in sci-fi, but it's something we see a lot more often. So I'd love to see something a little bit more family franchise heavy in the sense of Universal Studios could use this kind of money.
Live action dinosaurs, anytime you have live action dinosaurs in around people, it's sci-fi. But with this, it's something where we can tell those stories where, I mean, Final Fantasy VII inspired climate change activism and in the real world with our generation, something where we have with rich, fun characters. I mean, I mentioned Cloud, Tifa, Barrett, who has a great storyline with raising his adopted daughter after the death of his best friend. You have these beautiful slum landscapes that are just dreary and terrible. You could have some amazing set design in this movie that would just be immersive and something that's reminiscent of, you know, the world that we grow up in. That's a good parallel for the future generations to look at. I mean, I think something that there's also more of a market for than, say, a Turok movie.
I do not know any red-blooded American that doesn't want to see a cybernetically enhanced caveman fighting dinosaurs. You show me where that man doesn't live, and I will move there, so I will be that man for that town.
That always sounds good until it releases and it does $15 million on a $200 million budget on opening weekend because there's no narrative ties that actually make us want to see the movie.
I mean, that is a fair argument, but that is why you make sure you bring in the years and years of video game lore. You make sure you incorporate all of the video game storylines that work, and you've got a built-in fan base, so it at least gets the break-even point, unlike Black Adam. Poor Black Adam.
Well, it depends on who you ask. I've heard it both ways.
All right, perfect ending spot. And that is our rebuttal phase. So now we go into our 30-second final argument. This time starting with Coy for his 30 seconds, and we will begin that when he begins to talk.
So if you look at the actual phrasing of this question, is what video game franchise deserves a live action movie? I love this pitch for a show. I can see a long form Final Fantasy VII show. That game is 4 discs for a reason. You do not condense Final Fantasy VII. You live in it. Give me a Blade Runner-esque show, Final Fantasy VII, I'm in. You want a movie franchise? You want 2 hours of insane Predator action? You give me Turok in theaters, and I will be there every July 4th. Popcorn and ready. I'm in. Let's go. Let's dance.
And time. Perfect. All right. And our finale to this question. Mr. AJ, take us off.
As to the length of the game, actually, the first act can be Midgar itself. Even the new Final Fantasy remake, which is just Midgar, can be speedrun in about 5 hours. So if you take that down and condense the narrative when you adapt it into a screenplay, it can be about 2.5 hour movie, and then it can be something where you get to lay those story threads to build on bigger if they're there, but you can actually make a contained story with rescuing a flower girl from the slums and getting her to be able to actually see the sunlight.
And time. All right. There we have our final round of question 2, riveting dinosaurs versus clouds. All right. Love it. So I think we'll start this time with Mr. Paul Preston. Oh, we have a DCAM appearance.
Hello. Hi, yes. We'd like to give our thoughts and feelings real quick on this round. My first thing to say, Coy, we're not judging this time, so you don't have to try to give Comcast money. Although please give Comcast money because they pay my bills. So I liked that. Yes, everyone, go see Universal movies. It helps me. Thanks. And him. We appreciate that. We love Universal.
I'm just trying to get the 5th studio that exists at least acknowledged. There's only so many left. I want to make sure. Universal's the underdog because there's like 5 studios. So Universal.
Yes, Universal. They deserve another Dino movie. Second thought, dinosaurs. Yes, love them. Third, I know AJ's thing and I don't know yours. But I've been sold because I do love dinosaurs. And my last thought was cats. Gotta love them.
So on my front, I do have to mention that there were 2 video games that I hated and stopped playing because of their controls on Nintendo 64, and Turok was one of them. Oh. The other was Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. They were so damn hard to play. Like, just the control system of it was so bad that I got mad and stopped playing it. AJ, Final Fantasy VII was any Final Fantasy game was a lie because it's never the final one. And missed opportunity on both of your parts because you brought up dinosaur movies and you didn't bring up.
Happy judging.
Which one?
All right. Didn't catch all that, but thank you very much, DeepCam, as always, and we will see you again soon. All right, with that, I think so. This time we will start with Paul Preston, and then we will go on from there. So, Mr. Judge.
Yeah, actually, I was wrong. I'd like to retract my previous statement. Can I get titles on these? Or they just have the title? Is there a subtitle to the movies that you're talking about? Turok, the Destructor, or whatever the hell his name is. Is there a colon in there anywhere?
What would and what would Final Fantasy? Yeah, both of these would be better with titles. Okay. Turok.
I brought the show to a halt. Sorry.
No, you.
Did you say a quest for
terrible
peace?
idea?
I'm going to try to bring back that title. No, I'm bringing it back. I'm trying to.
Don't overcomplicate this. Just call it Turok. It's a good title.
It's a quest for peace. He wants to find peace in a dinosaur scavenged land.
Because I don't know Turok, so if I might need a little more time. I don't know that game. I don't know Final Fantasy. I mean, I've heard of Final Fantasy, but I don't play those games. Last game I played was Grand Theft Auto, and that's the correct answer because we need to turn around the streetcar racing.
Watch your rags to riches crime
take it away from
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. Then mine would just be like to simplify the numbers. Final Fantasy Midgar.
Yeah, that's not helping either. Okay,
there's
no movies in the next few things. All right, Final Fantasy. Been there, didn't care about that. They made a movie already, right? So no, and you missed your opportunity, AJ, to go pet Turok. But what are we gonna do? You lose a point for that. The Jurassic World movies were generally not good, but I did like Fallen Kingdom, and I will fight anyone on that. That works as a monster movie quite well. And but Koi simply win because me not knowing these games not too much or too well. Cybernetic caveman fighting dinosaurs. Like you laid it out like that, and I went, I'm in. Koi.
It's gonna make its money back.
So
Quest for Peace won't, but
peace is the exact opposite of what we want in a movie like this. Quest for more violence, please. Would be my only note. But this was really close for me because AJ's Concept, I've played the remake, so I've only played the first part of the original game, and I sort of I'm going to trust AJ that can be condensed down to movie time, the entire game, because it seemed pretty long. Are you going to include the whole Cloud gets an address sequence? I feel like you should.
Forgot to mention that, yeah.
Of course. You did not go into enough detail on Tifa. I'd like to just make the point. Tifa's great. She owns a bar. She's a tough fighting girl. She's so cute. Anyways, back to the fight. So yeah, Koi made a really good action movie pitch though. So that's why it's close, because it's like one's kind of simple and fun sounding, like a Violent Night kind of thing, and the other one's such an epic sci-fi movie that I know I love the story of already. I'm gonna have to go with AJ's. It might be based partially on ignorance because I'm not entirely sure if it can be condensed to 2.5 hours, but I'm just gonna trust him on that. So slightly go with AJ.
And John.
Interesting. Yes, I mean AJ, Final Fantasy VII. Great game. Just a quick. It was 3 discs, not 4 discs on the PS1. But because too many cutscenes. I mean, it's a 30 to 50 hour game, 80 plus hours if you're completionist. Yes, I do want to hunt some diamond weapons, some emerald weapons. My main concern is condensing it. Very tricky for a 2.5 hour movie. Definitely, that's going to be a lot of movies I'm going to have to do, hours and hours and hours and hours to get that story in, which is very complicated, very confusing. But a great game. Also, I think it maybe fits more in computer animated. And then for Turok, I mean, it is a crime that has been 14 years since we've last gotten a Turok game. I mean, dinosaurs, hunting. I mean, I'm sold. Turok, let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. With that, we have 2 votes for Koi. So Koi gets another point, and we move on to our third question. We get away from pitching movies in
Can I
this
tell you my
one.
favorite part of the show so far? I just want to say my favorite part of the show. The host leaves frequently. Anyway, I enjoy that.
I was trying to find my phone so that I could text our deacons, our deek cam, and then I realized I have this whole thing called the internet at my fingertips where I could just message them over Facebook.
I love that it looked like you were in like speed motion. There was a very like it was great.
I think I left my phone in my car.
2
And-
games from
nothing
before
about
the.
Anyway, I had it. The desktops were going like I could hear you, but all right. Anyways, moving on. Only professionalism here. We have our third question. It is already up on the screen, and so we will go back to starting with AJ on this one. And so I think it's time to dive in. Question 3: what is the best movie based on a theme park ride? The time will start when you begin, or within 5 seconds. Go.
So I took a little bit of an outside choice on this one. I went with the 2015's Tomorrowland, directed by Brad Bird. It's a movie with some. I mean, first of all, it captures a bit of the fun, the imagination of Tomorrowland. Even in the opening sequence with the little boy who shows a jetpack and says, "This and the adult played by Hugh Laurie says, "Well, this isn't a useful invention." And he said, "Well." Seeing somebody on a jetpack might inspire me to do something better, and that's very much the feel of this movie, is inspiring the youth to do something better than what us grown-ups have kind of led us to. It's a wild, fun ride. George Clooney is a very George Clooney about it. He does some great monologuing. It's kind of an outside. Not the kind of thing that you see get a big budget release. It's a wonderful, imaginative film. That's something that's kind of like the Epcot of
And
Disney rides.
time. All right. Moving on to Mr. Coy. The time begins when you begin.
So sometimes the cliche answer is cliche for a reason. Sometimes the most obvious answer is the answer, and that is Pirates of the Caribbean. This is a movie that started a franchise that made all of the money for a reason. It is a crowd pleaser. It is very inventive. It is a blast. It is a franchise experience, much like a theme park is a ride experience. These are very imaginative characters. These are a very diverse array of interesting hijinks. Each of your villains changes to suit the world you're in. It's able to be so many things, and the first one lays such beautiful groundwork, is able to paint this beautiful tapestry of a world. You've got Gore Verbinski directing this insanity that feels like a ride. You feel like you're being thrust to and fro with momentum of amusement park ride. You've got that score in your ears. You're introduced to the power of Keira Knightley. You love Jack Sparrow so much, you pretend he hasn't done awful things in courtrooms. It is a very fascinating movie. It's a fascinating time, and there's a reason there's a sixth one coming out, and they just canned one with Margot Robbie. The first one changed movies and doesn't get the respect it deserves. It's a powerhouse film. Hard stop.
And time. Why is the rum always gone? Why is the time always run out? Well, that is it for our first round. We move on to our rebuttal phase, where each of our contestants get to duke it out. I think we are ready to begin. So, fight.
So where I was going with Tomorrowland is it's definitely very much the Epcot of ride movies, and it's a little bit more adult skewing, but the kids can have fun with it too. There's adventure in there, but there's also a clear message. Something that's what do you get to take away from Pirates besides the emotion of the thrill ride?
I mean, what Pirates does is it gives you an unlikable protagonist that is sometimes an antagonist, and then through the detail work of the character, you find out he's a pirate because he wouldn't actually enslave people. So you realize that this is a man who was on the slave trade for rum, and you think he's a bad guy, and you go and discover that like the guy you've been rooting against and for, the annoying character, is actually the most wholesome of all. It's an anti-colonizer movie set in the time of colonization. It is genius.
Well, and with Tomorrowland, you get people who the Tomorrowland people actually separated from themselves from what they saw was a doomed society, and they convinced themselves that society was doomed because of time travel, knowing the exact moment time ended. But by giving faith in the youth, that's when it goes from 100% down to 99. It's a movie about laying wayside to naysaying doomist futurism that kind of we've been bred to tell, maybe this generation is the last. And in the past few years, we've kind of felt like that. Tomorrowland coming out in 2015 is kind of perfect for a message for us for the future, to give hope to the future and the youth.
I think it's very interesting that something as recent as 2015 can have an optimistic view on the future. I think the 80s had a lot of good, let's look at the future, things are going well because we had so much cocaine to do. But then in the 90s and then in the fall of the 2000s, things got really dark because the world got really dark. I love the optimism of Tomorrowland. The problem is it is now unrealistic to the point where I don't remember the movie. I remember thinking, what a great concept, naive and short-sighted because we're fucked.
Go back and watch it. It's saying that we're fucked is basically, we're going to get into politics and talking about the world. This is about the world of tomorrow.
A land of tomorrow?
Yes.
5, 4.
I love the optimism, but it never felt like a movie. It felt like a speech.
And time. All right. There we are. Okay. I am riveting in my chair. This was an unbelievable 2 arguments that we have. And we have the Deacons.
Hello.
Here.
We're here. We are here. First of all, I just want to say, sad that no one picked The Country Bears. What a great movie. Just kidding.
You got to be on so many drugs to like The Country Bears.
Fair. Second, I'd like to thank both of you for not picking The Haunted Mansion, because that's a god-awful movie. And it's my
respect
favorite
ourselves.
Yeah.
So that would have been a disgrace. Really hoping the new movie is much better. I want to give mad props to AJ. Oh, he's not even here to hear my mad props. Oh God, we lost him.
We lost him.
But I want to get mad. I'm going to vamp for a minute then. I'm going to give mad props to AJ for picking Tomorrowland. I thought that was a bold choice. Also, Tomorrowland is probably my favorite area in the Magic Kingdom. I love Tomorrowland. It's my favorite area of the park. Pirates of the Caribbean is one of my favorite rides of all time, and it's an excellent movie. Great arguments from both of you. AJ, you missed my great compliments. But just so you know, they were said. And yeah, no facts on that. That was a clean round, thus far. And just, thank you everyone for respecting yourselves enough not to pick the Haunted Mansion.
I just want to point out that if you're ever at the Magic Kingdom, that the Carousel of Progress in Tomorrowland is a great 18-minute nap.
Nice. All right. Well, with that,
Great 18-minute.
I think it is time for our rebuttal round. So we will start with AJ for 30 seconds, and then we'll have Corey for 30 seconds. So, AJ, when you are ready.
I think that's kind of unfair to be calling Tomorrowland a speech of a movie when it's really it's a less preachy, it's a more fun and actually earnest feel of maybe something that could feel like a Don't Look Up, but instead is something where you can watch this with your family, you can have hope for the future, and get a little bit of honest hope in a movie that kind of is what you feel when you're going through the world of tomorrow, unless you're taking a nap.
And time. All right. Speaking of naps, somebody that has not taken one for 25 years, Coy.
What you want out of an amusement park ride is to be riveted, to be wowed in equal measure. And I love being wowed and looking up and wonder and experience. And I think that is tomorrow. But when I want a ride, a riveting ride, something that's pushing me forward, I want something that has spawned 6 movies accordingly. It is an experience where I remember the characters' names, where it launched a bunch of careers. I don't think George Clooney had any effect on before or after. I don't remember that young woman's name as great as she was. I know Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom, and Johnny Depp are changed because of this franchise. And I know Disney's been able to do a lot more accordingly. Pirates is the amusement park ride movie, period.
And time. Okay. All right. Well, I think let's just get right
Sarah
into it.
Romer? Was it Sarah Romer? Okay. She was so hot. I had such a crush on her, but I wasn't
And
sure.
your winner. Oh.
All right. You do not need to hear me babble any more than you need to. This time we will start with John Getz, and then we will go from there.
Well, as far as Tomorrowland goes, I think he's right. It's a very nice to have like an optimistic view. I'm not sure if it's quite as rare as it was made out to be. I feel like there's a lot of futuristic movies that have more optimism than maybe is realistic. I guess the way it was presented was mainly his argument, that it was more realistic as far as related to our world. But I got to go with Coy just because I feel like it kind of is an obvious answer. The first Pirates, as a guy who hated the next 5, whenever he talks about it, I still have fond memories of just and I'll still watch the first one. I get it in 4K and everything because it's like, yeah, everything's perfect about the trio, the dynamic, all the actors. You didn't even mention Jeffrey Rush, but he was hitting a lot of them, and because there's too many good ones to mention. And so yeah, I gotta go because an escapism can give you optimism too, just like an optimistic future can. And he made that point if it's a fun thrill ride that you can escape from your pessimism through.
Okay, so with that, we'll go to John Latrina next.
All right, Tomorrowland. I like George Clooney. I like Brad Bird. I think it's a fun movie. Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of Black Pearl, great movie. As John Getz just mentioned, there was no mention of the best performer in that film, the best pirate in that film, Jeffrey Rush. Big loss of points there for Coy. Big missed opportunity. So for that simple reason, I will go with AJ.
All right. Once again, down to the wire, down to the judge Reinhold himself.
Well, I looked at the question they were asked, which is, what is the worst George Clooney movie, right? And I thought, Clooney's not even in Pirates of the Caribbean. So I don't know why I brought that up. But, okay. So, listen, risky move to not go with the best movie. But you went that path, and it didn't work out for you. I mean, you asked me to watch it again. I don't think I can. I can't watch Crystal Skull again. There's some things I can't watch again. There's good youth empowerment and better movies about imagination, like Hugo, for example. And Brad Bird's done better. And as far as it being an Epcot movie, Epcot got good like 20 years after it was built, right? So we're going to have to revisit this movie in 2035 and see if it's also got improved any. The correct answer, of course, is Star Wars. If you've been to Smuggler's Run, you'd see that they nailed it. And also, listen, Coy, I'm going to side with you here, but they don't blow up the British ship until at World's End. And that's really when the fight against colonization comes to a head. You could damn near cry about how they blew the holy shit out of the thing. Also, you led with Pirates of the Caribbean. I was like, well, which one is he going with? It took a while for me to figure out which movie you were going with because, look, you were in the Schmodown. You know the rules. You say Pirates of the Caribbean, you lose the point because you didn't say which one you were talking about. But eventually, I think you brought it around to what we wanted to hear, to the point where it got Juice riveting in his chair, which really sounds like he shit his pants. That's all.
Yeah, I'm really worried about that chair. That's why he was up and running around before. He was.
What the show is known for its strict rules, such as getting the titles exactly right.
Well,
Turok: A Quest for Peace.
Okay.
And if you want to take a nap in Disneyland, you go to the Hall of Presidents. Anyway, go ahead.
Excellent. So what was I've been riveting in the chair the whole time. What was your final answer?
Me? Oh, I think
Yes.
I said it early, but didn't close with it. Coy.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Before we get to the next round, and for anybody involved, I'll just do a quick bathroom break kind of thing.
Totally. I can vamp.
I'm just going to step away.
More pro.
All right.
All right. Thank you. No, I've been quick.
I thought if you just want to leave you just leave, right?
You just walk up. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, we
just
asking to
obviously.
leave.
Come on.
I've seen this show. You just get up and leave if you want to get up and leave.
I know I gave the point to you.
Rolling with the show. Just to jump in while AJ's taking a break, and again, if anyone would like to take a break, please feel free. Where people discuss movies for points. The way it works is we are doing, even though it is 5 rounds, we are doing that someone has to reach 5, and mostly because I really wanted to hear everyone fight all of these questions. So just so everyone knows, because Koi is up 3, and if you're like, there's 5 rounds, when he automatically went, no, he still has to argue.
We're talking for points.
We were talking for points. That's how we roll here.
If it was some sort of fight, that's how it would go. But this is a talk for points.
But we're talking movies for points, so it's a totally different ball game. So we will be asking the next 2 ones because it's still anyone's game, and we could very easily get into speed rounds. So I just wanted to come on the DCAM, clarify the rules, clarify the facts.
Yes.
I think we all understood the rules perfectly fine going into it. So
Yes, we all definitely did.
Nobody who's not in a center center space right now didn't understand when he came on screen.
I don't
All
want
right,
to.
I had to clarify.
But he might be named Shmoosh Fludnik. But I don't want to name any names.
I was told I was supposed to know nothing when I came into this chair.
Listen.
Oh God.
No,
Take
that
that
was John's
sentence back.
You what into that chair?
He's still in there.
You're a jabroni.
There's so weird things about
All right.
chairs going
Deuce,
on.
what's going to go on the shelves behind you is what I'm wondering, because they're all empty right now.
Oh, very hot.
By the way, John Strina just donated $10. Guys, I got a tank
Who?
on my ass. I repeat, I got a tank on my ass. Roman Pierce.
Yeah. Good
Oh,
man.
I thought he was going to show us the tank for a second. All right. He started to get up.
That's
All
also riveting in that chair.
I do have the tank in the Fast and
European.
Furious
Also, what a great
Highway
score.
Heist game.
Fantastic score.
I feel like AJ, if you could have convinced me that the score was better in Tomorrowland, which I'm sorry it isn't, I could have maybe voted for you, but nothing beats that score.
It's such a good score. I mean, Judge Reinhold's experiencing
why-
it right now with his eyeballs.
I didn't want to
He's
steer
reading the
into a
notes and
skid.
just experiencing it.
Saw Hans Zimmer in concert. Everybody go see that if it's available to you, because that was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he jams himself, man.
Right, we're ready to
He
go.
called.
All right, well, I'm the
liner
only
notes?
person that knows what's going on, so we're gonna keep going.
DVD
All right,
liner notes.
God.
question
Oh,
4.
we're fucked. Anyway,
I am
Yeah, we're
so
old.
excited for question 4. I may or may not have came up with this, but and finally may or may not have just watched the great Clerks 3. So in honor of Clerks 3, what is the best performance in any Kevin Smith movie? And we're going to start this time with Coy.
This was not easy. This was probably the hardest one for me to pull an answer from, but I had to go with the one that I've been thinking of since I first saw this movie. And it was actually in conjunction with another performance, but I'm going with Banky Edwards in Chasing Amy. A lot of people give love to Ben Affleck deservedly. A lot of people give love to Joey Lauren Adams deservedly, but one performance is balancing his own instincts, his own judgments. It's someone battling himself and trying not to feel judgment about himself while also being the comedic foible, while also delivering the drama, while also furthering the plot. What better test of performance is there that someone is judging themselves and you're not judging them? What better test of an actor is there than someone doing comedy and drama and delivering the plot? You couldn't take your eyes off Jason Lee in this movie. You wanted to know what he was thinking. You wanted to be there to hug him and to punch him. It is an incredible performance, and it's one for the ages. Jason Lee doesn't get enough respect as an actor. Banky Edwards is one of the great performances of 90s indie filmmaking.
And time. I just watched this movie for a recent trivia battle we just did in What the Show, and I agree with everything Coy just said. AJ.
Brian O'Halloran in Clerks 3. Wow. I'm still stunned by this. I mean, Brian, as Dante's had, his fun roles, you could tell that he wasn't somebody who was really an actor going into Clerks. I mean, 1 and 2 both, but he came into something with this showing powerful emotions, relatable frustrations with your friends, grieving with his whole soul. And even in the end, something that's relatable to me is when Jeff Anderson's in the room and he's intubated, the emoting that he does with his eyes when he sees the movie of his life, both inside when he's in the movie theater and outside
10 seconds.
with Randall is just. I had no idea that this man had it in him. The monologue about you're the boy who
and
lived.
time. I just watched this movie for a recent trivia battle that What the Show did, and I agree with everything that AJ just said. All right, I am so excited for this. I am, as one might say, riveting in my chair. I'm ready for the rebuttal. I cannot wait for this. Time is going to begin when one of you fine gentlemen begins to talk. Battle Kevin Smith.
So this is something where it is not a point against him, but it is something that makes me put mine just over it, in that he has played Dante for so long that it is putting on an old suit. We had to immediately fall in love with Banky, and we had to immediately believe everything after just seeing Jason Lee as Mallrats 2 years earlier. We know how to love Dante. We know how much we feel for him. We didn't have that with this new character.
But to play that character in multiple iterations and put this narrative cap. By the way, I don't think that either of us can trash either person's performance in this one.
No,
this
was my second choice.
But
this was literally my other one.
To be able to put that narrative cap on it beautifully, showing more emotion, more range. Like when I saw this, I was just like, can we get this man like an independent spirit nom, something? Because this is something where he transformed, and I think that shows really the strength of Kevin Smith as a director, even better than like his performance. It was an actor-director relationship relating back to Kevin, it seemed like, and how this parallels and how Clerks 3 is a personal parallel to his life. I can't think of something better than what Brian O'Halloran delivered for that movie. It's the
I don't
of the entire
disagree.
film.
And I don't think either of us can speak ill of the other performances, because these are both A+ performances. As I said, this was my second of 2 performances in all of the View Askew films. My issue is that when you're looking at approachability of character, how much are you tying in your connection to not only Dante, but also to Brian, and also to knowing that Kevin Smith went through that? The performance is anchored in 3 very different things that are that you're emotionally resonating with. I've never personally been in a relationship with a male friend where I second guessed my sexuality to that scale. Sure, I've looked at my handsome friends and been like, girl, but like I've never had it to the scale of maybe like, you know, what Banky went through. And this made me identify with an entirely new thing that was brand new to me. And I think that's the power of that performance.
Well, I think that like when we get into the final act of that movie, the third act of Clerks 3, I wasn't thinking about Kevin Smith's experience. I was thinking about my father's experience. And that's something that it made it relatable to me in a way that I hadn't related to, say, the Kevin Smith story that he does make very well known. It really, I quit thinking about that. It became these characters and relating back to life. And for me, that's a transformative experience with that character, which I just never thought I'd have with Dante from Clerks.
Again, I will not speak any ill of that performance. I will only acknowledge that it has more years and more experience and more exposure to carry that weight than mine, which you're immediately thrust into.
And it's done differently than it was before.
Okay. All right. We let that go a little bit long because of the rivetive nature of the argument, and I was invested in every word. So with that, we have the DCAM.
So I just had to point out a few things about both performances. First off, Banky is just playing a tracer. And second off,
he's not a tracer.
Brian O'Halloran did not show his full range because he only played one of his relatives in Clerks 3. So
true. Fair point.
Wanted to say that was a fantastic argument. And also, if you all really wanted to pander to us, who again, we're not judging, but you could have picked someone from Mallrats because
Universal.
They, Universal. That's all right. We'll allow it.
I watch Mallrats too. All right. So with this, 30 seconds. I will be strict with the 30 seconds here. 30 seconds, starting with Coy.
Not only does Jason Lee make you identify with someone that is going through a full in real-time crisis of self, but it's someone that's going through a crisis of sexuality in a time we didn't talk about it very much. The early 90s were not a time where you could talk about being gay or any grayscale of sexuality, and he made it very approachable and very real. He also did it in a movie about lesbians. He also did it in a movie with Ben Affleck. He also did it in a movie where he just came off playing Brody. This is a man who delivered the utmost performance that was real, that was grounded, that felt like not only did you want to be a tracer, you also might want to have a three-way with your best friend in that hot new blonde really just got.
Very true. AJ.
So Brian O'Halloran's performance, it goes through an entirely different depth. That's the thing about both these performances is that they're beautiful, they're deep. But with this, it's survivor's guilt. It's dealing with your friends and family and being brought to your maximum, and it's revisiting trauma. There's an entire PTSD scene after the funniest dance scene in the movie outside of movies. He can't go back where he was, and shows so many ranges, so many processes of guilt, and in the end, acceptance and beauty.
And
you can walk away from life.
So because I only have I have a missing finger here, kind of half finger. I keep miscounting my 5. I keep doing 1, 2. Anyways, all right, that is our final argument, and we are ready for our judges to tell us what they think. Because you don't care about what I think. That's not what you're here for. You're here for the judges. We're all here for the judges. So this time we go back to Judge Toretto, John Lustrina, to give us his thoughts on this wonderful argument by two of the greatest filmmaker of all time, Kevin Smith. Not really, but continue.
Yeah, I mean, this was very, very, very difficult. I mean, obviously, just in general, Jason Lee, whenever he shows up for these VSQ films, he's great. He's just great in all of them. Very tough. And again, Dante and Clerks. This might show a little bias. I very much feel like Dante a lot. Just the guy behind the counter and everything. He's at work, dealing with the customers and just observing and having all these stories. But there's just something about him and Clerks 3. Just God, holy shit! I cried so much during that movie, probably the entire movie. A lot just based on him. So I gotta go with AJ for Dante, and just also a shout out to Alan Rickman in Dogma as well.
Great performance.
And
I
Paul.
cut out there. Sorry, what was?
I rewarded you at the point.
Thank you
for Dante.
Sorry, I just need to
know. I think my favorite performance is Jason Mewes in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and I put that in the comments. You may have seen my handle. It's 18sex.xyz, but somebody deleted it for some reason, so you'll never see it. So I'll tell you here. That's what's going on with that. But I've gone with Coy in every one of these, but I think I'm spinning around to AJ on this one because I haven't seen Clerks 3, but Brian Halloran's good in it. Brian Halloran's good in A Thing. For that, you made the argument. So it made me a believer on that, and I'd like to believe it because, he's always been kind of the guy who didn't have the huge career that everyone else coming out of the Smithverse kind of did. Not everyone, but, a bunch. And Jason Lee, he's look how different he is from this and this. Yeah, he is different. I love Almost Famous, and he's totally different in that as well. So it's not unusual that he would be great in Chasing Amy. So, but before I actually officially award the point to AJ, what can you give us some titles for these movies? Go ahead, like you did in the round 1 and 2.
Chasing Amy, a question.
Okay, oh, see, that's good. That's good.
Peace in the heart.
Clerks 3. Dante
More like
takes
Jason Meows.
Dante takes Manhattan.
AJ made me a believer.
Ooh, Dante takes Manhattan.
So
Dante takes Manhattan.
We got Kermit in that.
We will let John. We will let John at least give his thoughts. But I just want to say that the best performance in the View Askew adjacent universe is Brian O'Halloran in Madness in the Method.
I feel like Spidey Cat's making a compelling argument right now.
He is just, he's trying to get me to talk about Brody, and because that's my favorite, but I can't.
The great orator. Geez. But it's a clean sweep, actually. Even if one of you hadn't gone with AJ, still would have won the round because as someone who is woefully ignorant on Kevin Smith to the point that my biggest exposure is the Nostalgia Critic episode on Tusk. I basically was going by which one am I more is a better advertisement for the movie. I was listening to the arguments basically going, which one of these sounds more interesting to watch? And I slightly went with AJ on that because it sounded, I mean, even though it's a threequel, so I'd obviously watch the other two, but sounded like it had some good themes and a lot of great performances. So yeah, I'll go with that.
It's incredible. I can't disagree. I had nothing bad to say about it.
How did neither of us do Justin Long and Tusk?
That
We don't need that uphill battle. Incredible performance.
all right. Anyways,
I don't need that
go for
either.
Brimley.
Let's move on to our fifth and final question. So I believe, if I'm correct, regardless, because AJ has now won, there will be a speed round. But this will be the last question to determine whether or not AJ has some more points or Coy has more points going into that speed round. But if I am correct, regardless, the speed round will take place because it was not a clean 5-0 sweep. And
Coming
the
in
DM's here to confirm that or deny.
Yes, confirmed. The score is now 3-1. One of these gentlemen has to get to 5, so we will be going into at least one question in the speed round. Okay, carry on.
Excellent. So now we go back to AJ to take us off on our fifth question. And this question is a very what the show question. Question 5, in honor of E.T.'s 40th anniversary, which is a perfect film that should never be rebooted. We question it as in what in the hell world would make that anyway?
Jesus, go
But,
walk away from the camera.
All right. I can't.
Can you perhaps explain what the
different.
question
All
was
right.
intended to say?
Okay, so what it was intended to say. So in honor of E.T.'s 40th anniversary, which is a perfect film that never should be rebooted, we question the world where that would even be
Jesus
a
Christ.
possibility.
What if Dan Rather never
Anyway.
read the news before he got on the air? And he
this
just
is-
went, "Yeah, something happened. Something
There's a story
happened in
behind this.
Ukraine."
Would you like me to ask this question?
Yeah,
Would you like
there
me
was
to-
tampering.
Definitely ask
There's
the question.
tampering of evidence.
What perfect movie should not be remade? Who is the director? There you go.
I just want to know in a little inside baseball. I had this question worded perfectly, and Mike Deacon kept being like, "It's confusing. It's confusing." I go, "It's not. It's really clear." And then he reworded it, and Juice couldn't.
This is a new movie fight. Whose wording is better on the question? You both have to submit your wordings.
This is why judges get negative points. It's this
But
argument.
anywho, to ask the question, basically, if in some hell world E.T. were to ever be rebooted, who should direct it? Okay, thank you.
Oh, E.T. specifically, not just
Oh.
any movie that shouldn't be rebooted. Okay.
E.T. director.
Fun.
Right. E.T. is being rebooted.
Exactly why we should have left my wording.
Okay.
All right. So in the E.T.'s being rebooted. Who should direct it?
No, he read it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I went with the choice that it's a pair of directors who haven't had any major studio films, but they've done some great things in independent work. They've done some great things with practical effects, and that's the Daniels. I mean, both with Swiss Army Man and Everything Everywhere Where at Once. It can be something where you see something that's like it's a silly concept. A little boy finding an alien. I mean, it's a silly concept, but it becomes something more beautiful, a bigger world, a grand adventure, and that's something that you see in both of those movies. And they do, like I mentioned, a lot of practical effects. They can tell a story straightforward. They're not going to try and marvel tongue in cheek at that kind of thing. It's earnest. It's humble, but it's also a grand adventure. So by seeing those two films from their repertoire, by seeing their relationship with actors, because they're going to have to bring in new actors. We're not casting, a prestige actor for Elliot in this. They build new relationships really well, and something that I want to see them work with IP. I want to see those directors do something grand and beautiful, and E.T. is the perfect fit
And
for
time.
Daniels.
Okay.
Daniels are perfect for E.T.
So the problem is I keep doing this. I keep making an A-OK instead of going 5-4. Anyways, all right.
You're practicing
That is the
Naruto
first
hand signs
part
or
of
something.
our question that is not confusing at all. It makes complete sense. Now Coy will take his stab. 60 seconds on the board. Your time begins when you speak.
I too am picking a pair of directors who have not had major film success. They have had incredible TV success as a pair. These are pair of directors that do an incredible job, not only capturing the feeling of the 80s, not only the feeling of action adventure, not only the feeling of nostalgia, not only the incredible ability to direct children, which is no easy feat, but they are students of Spielberg himself, and they are the Duffer Brothers. The Duffer Brothers need something to launch them out of just being the Stranger Things guys. What better than having an opportunity to make something from their icon? What better opportunity to show that they can not only use all their strengths that they've developed in Stranger Things, but do it in a more child appropriate way. Stranger Things has gotten very dark and beautiful and grim, and I love it very much, but I'd love to see them go to season 1 Stranger Things and have the youth, have that innocence, have that wonder. The beautiful thing about E.T. is it has moments of darkness. Those cops carrying around those guns that turned into walkie-talkies in some weird cuts were terrifying. I want to see those elements from the Duffer Brothers. I want to see them directing kids. I want to see them make this 80s masterpiece today.
And time. Perfect. All right. 2 great choices to a great question. I think it's time for the rebuttal round, and I think the 2 of you should go at it, and I am going to start the timer when one of you 2 begins to speak.
Listen, I love the Duffer Brothers. I love Stranger Things. Could you imagine the collective societal eye roll when the guys who did Stranger Things are assigned to do E.T. because they're the guys who did Stranger Things? At least with the Daniels, it's something where it's going to be a stretch for them. We're going to see some growth for them. And you can also see something different that they can contribute because there's a lot of overlap. With Stranger Things and E.T.
I've got a hot take for you, AJ.
Where they can, what's up?
I think that the Daniels are too good for E.T. And I think that I wouldn't want them to be gone for 2 years working on a reboot when they can be making art that can change our lives. No E.T. reboot is going to change my life. I am 2 for 2 with life-changing Daniels movies.
Sorry,
I don't want to take them away.
It's a beautiful, life-changing film.
The first one, the one we have, the one that already exists.
Yeah. And it can tell a story, and they can tell that story in a different way. They can
When's the last time a reboot changed your life to the same scale as the first?
If you're going to make E.T. into if you're going to put a different lens on E.T. and make this reboot worthwhile, you're not just going to get the Duffer Brothers who's going to do a complete retread. I'm sorry, that's what I could fear happening in this. The Daniels could do something different. They could reach into that nostalgia, but also pull out a different emotion. I don't know what that emotion is going to be because sometimes it can get a little bit weird, but this is still going to be a PG.
But the Daniels have never made a linear movie. The beauty of the Daniels is that they don't do linear. E.T. is the strength of E.T. is its simplicity. It's a fairy tale. It's a sense of wonder. The Daniels don't walk in a straight line. They go all over the place with rocks and googly eyes and and hot dog fingers. That's the power of the Daniels and farting Radcliffes. I don't want to lose my farting Radcliffe for an E.T. reboot.
I mean, what is whatever the Reese's Pieces, but like a little bit of a farting Radcliffe kind of moment, and it's an alien eating candy and loving it. I mean, I can
the real friends of the farting Radcliffes made along the way.
I can see them showing Botanicus.
All right, and time. Okay, perfect.
Got a Botanicus reference in at the end. Hell's yeah. All right, coming in here because I want to hear a couple things in the closing argument. I think from the fact-checking camera, we can ask for things. Since this is a reboot and the closing arguments, I want to hear like what is going to be different. Are we setting it in modern day? Are we still keeping in the 80s? Give me a little bit of your rebootiness of it is what I would like to hear in the closing arguments. Also, E.T. supports this argument, except he would like to never be remade. And I'd also like to point out, this is how brilliant Steven Spielberg is, that both of you pitched 2 people need to replace one.
Very true. All right. So this time we are back to AJ, and he is going to give us his final 30 seconds, starting when he begins.
What does E.T. look like if it's set in a different country, if it's in modern era? And I'm not saying that they have to do a retread of, say, when they did the Asian Immigrant Story with Everything Everywhere All at Once, but they could do due diligence to maybe what this movie looks like in Korea or Iran, or can actually give you a different perspective on what finding an alien looks like in those countries while still making it wild and crazy and weird. This is going to be something where you feel the magic of the movie through an entirely different lens instead of a retread by having the Duffer Brothers do what they've been doing with Stranger Things for 7 years. 6.
All right. The record be show 7 years with 7 arguments.
6.
And
B show.
Let's let Coy his final 30 seconds before we end this great question.
So what the Duffer Brothers do really well is they show you a journey. They go you on a quest. They invest you in the characters. You need to be invested in the characters around E.T. So in the way that I love the Daniels for being all esoteric and making you think outside the box, you need to think in the box for E.T. And I think the Duffer Brothers are going to make a story set in the modern day that's about being alienated as a child in the world of technology. In the world 2022, the generation gap is 2 years, 3 years at most. I want a young boy that doesn't feel like he can talk to his big sister, that he can talk to his friends that are a little older, and he's going to identify with this alien in the modern day because he's alone and isolated and feels like this alien is closer to him than his family.
All right. Let family be stricken from the record. I know that hurts John.
As Vin Diesel wants it.
Okay, so with that,
here,
we start with Paul as our first judge for this round to cast the vote.
It's a tough one. They're both good suggestions. Not to mention the idea that Bethany said about it's taken two people to. I mean, that's true. Spielberg is legend, but yeah, I worry about the Daniels cut of this movie. I think it's going to become more to an exploration of grief and all that. Well, I don't know if there'll be enough wonder. And then when I look at the Duffer Brothers, how they handle wonder on Stranger Things, it still seems kind of surfacey. It's not. I don't think they have a lot of real emotional moments that aren't melodramatic. Blown up a bit. So, but I think I got lost when all right. I think I lost a little on Coy when he said he wants to see this movie today. He wants today to be a hell world. If you remember the question, and nobody does because it was never asked correctly, this is a hell world. And Coy wants this to be a hell world. And I don't know if I can handle it. I mean, I don't want to hate either of these directors because they're remaking E.T. And if they do, I would. But, because Everything Everywhere All at Once, I riveted myself when I saw that movie. I thought it was great. But the correct answer, of course, is nobody does sequels better than James Cameron. But I will give you this one, AJ.
All right, we have an AJ from our first judge. Now we move on to Judgmental John Getz. Say you.
This is very close because it's two kind of wildly different arguments. One's kind of safe, and it's an argument for refinement, and that these guys can do this really well, and we know this. And AJ was much more risky, and I kind of don't even know what I would get with those two. And that was kind of part of his argument, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna end up going with Coy just because I think he sort of made the case for the Duffers that they're not just rehashers. And I kind of agree with that. They deserve a little more credit for what they could stretch themselves, especially given an entirely new subject with aliens and everything. So I'm gonna go ahead with Coy.
Okay. It would not be What the Show without some drama. 1-1 going in. Judge Toretto. We already cut out family from this equation. What have you to say, Mr. Family himself?
Well, I mean, family is very important. It's the most important thing. But this is a very important question in today's world: crispy nuggets or spicy nuggets? And sure, some people like them spicy, some like them crispy. Some people can't handle the spice. They just can't. Their body just doesn't like it. It can't handle it, right? They might have to take some Tums, some other digestive help. Heartburn sucks, as we all know. And you know what? Although paired with a nice dipping sauce, honey mustard, barbecue, tangy. But in regards to this question, I think I prefer myself some crispy nuggets. And for that simple reason, and also the fact that I think Coy, it sounded like he said that E.T. was simple, which is very offensive in this.
Linear. I said the word linear.
I heard simple, and for that reason, I go with crispy nuggets, which I wrote down next to AJ's name. So,
really,
I felt like that was going the exact opposite direction.
Yeah, I would have thought Daniels were spicy. I was confused the whole time.
Before I get the point, do you want to check your notes?
Oh no! Look at my notes.
AJ is the one with the hat on.
Very clear, very clear.
Coy The redheaded one. Just so you know. Okay.
Oh, not Tom Ford.
And Coy, AJ brought up Swiss Army Man, and then you went on about farting, and so returning to farting again in your argument, like you did previously, that can't help your case.
Also, whoever
You're gonna stay
directed
out of
Mac and
farting
Me
in
is
speed
the
round.
answer because they already did it.
They already remade E.T.
They
for
already
Paul Rudd alone,
They already +1'd it, man. I mean,
and it's
John
only
just-
for Paul Rudd.
John just blasted me with a great inside joke on that Tom Ford thing because I just recommend him to direct anything. Okay.
All
Right,
right.
speed round.
I might have gone with Coy without not hearing Tom Ford, but hey, you know what?
Now I know. Next time.
Crispy.
So we go on to the speed round. And I may or may not be the master of words. However, I will defer the explaining of this to my counterparts. Just, we want to give them a little more screen time. I don't want to take up too much. I can explain it perfectly, but that's okay. All right.
He 100% could have. I have full faith in him. So just to explain the speed round, we have a total potential possibly 3 questions, depending on the score right now is 3-2. So it's anyone's game. You have to get 5 points. So speed round essentially is going to work. You get 30 seconds, we're going to ask the question. Obviously, neither gentleman has been informed of these questions prior to the game, as they were their other questions, which they were allowed to prepare. So they're going to have to give an answer. Whoever answers first gets the right to go first. The second they start talking, their time starts. They're given 30 seconds for an argument. Then the other person will give their 30-second argument, and they both get a 15-second rebuttal time. So that is going to be how the speed round works. We have our first question at the ready. Is everybody ready?
Yes.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to drop out here on the D cam, and Juice will get that first question up for you.
Juice
All
is-
right. I'm muted. Excellent. Thank you. I think that was sabotage. Somebody wants me muted. Nobody wants me to speak. All right. Well, I learned how to read between this and the last question, so I am ready. Besides Han Solo and Indiana Jones, what is Harrison Ford's best role? Starting with both of you because it's speed round. So whoever gives an answer first will go.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a good question.
This is a great question because it feels both limiting and vast.
maybe in a hell world.
Don't get this wrong, guys.
Dumb.
No pressure, but don't get this wrong.
Ooh. You only have the Harrison Ford expert underneath me.
I've got 3 I've narrowed it down to, and it's like
I'm still trying to think of.
what lies beneath.
Air Force One.
Okay. All right. Let's begin.
What Lies Beneath showed a different side of Harrison Ford, and that there was a lot more empathy there beyond action. It wasn't just adventure. It wasn't just pointing fingers. It wasn't just snarling and growling. There was a husband who was going through trauma, and you felt for Harrison Ford. It helped that he also had his actual love, Calista Flockhart, which shone. You got to see a very different side of Harrison Ford, an exposed nerve of a beautiful man that showed way more of his toolkit than he ever had before. This is a movie that's riveting because of the performances, and without this performance being so good, the movie falls apart, and Harrison Ford's career is lesser without this particular take on his openness, on his sympathy, on his power.
And time. All right, AJ.
I think that Air Force One is something that's similarly iconic and completely something that's 100% a Harrison Ford role, but it's because it is Harrison Ford. It is snarling. It is that snark, that fun, and it's a violent. It's an action movie. I mean, you get some great line deliveries there. It's the fun of a Harrison Ford movie, as we know Harrison Ford. So it's kind of the complete opposite. I mean, you like Harrison Ford being Harrison Ford, and he gets a bit of an opportunity to do that in Air Force One.
Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, our judges. What do we think?
We rebuttal?
Let's start with.
Rebuttal.
Oh, you get the rebuttal. Okay, sorry. Yep. I know what's happening. And 30 seconds with Coy. Start.
So there's a ton of really good opportunities to see that. You could look at Jack Ryan movies. You could look at his different conspiracy movies in the 80s. You could look at a lot of the Harrison Ford movies. But we want a role different than Han Solo or Indiana Jones. What is his best role outside of those iconic roles? Another Get Off My Plane. It doesn't feel as substantial. I think What Lies Beneath not only showed people that Harrison Ford was a movie star, but also an incredible actor.
And time. Okay, perfect. And AJ with your rebuttal.
Get Off My Plane. How about this? What Lies Beneath is a movie that you watch on a plane. Air Force One is a movie that you're gonna have some fun. You're gonna have that snarling adventure. Sure, it's not necessarily an adventure. It's different because it's a celebration of his roles. It seems like from the 80s, through those conspiracy, through those Jack Ryan movies. It kind of highlights them while elevating them into something that can be enjoyed.
All right, and time. Okay. We'll start with John Getz on this one.
I'm gonna go ahead and go Air Force One on this one with an AJ. I pick all the most cliche answers, just like that one director that was getting insulted this past week between Pirates of the Caribbean and this. But I kind of go with it's kind of the magnum opus kind of argument that he was going with, or an homage at least to those performances. I like kind of being the zenith of it in the 90s.
Okay, perfect. And Latrina?
I've read the novelization of Air Force One, and let me tell you, you really feel you get more character into the Special Forces guy who gets shot in the beginning of the film. You really feel for him, and I really think that Coy bringing up "Get Off My Plane" really hurt against him because it's just an iconic line, and I mean, just try to lessen that impact of that great line, the classic line. I think that worked against you.
That's his whole role in that movie. That's all I was saying. It's one note.
I mean, it saved his presidency. So you know what? I gotta go with AJ and Air Force One.
Okay, with AJ. Sorry, John. Who did you go with?
AJ.
AJ. Okay. John or Paul, would you like to just give me your thoughts?
I mean, Paul's the opinion I want most here.
You've done this before, but you were both incorrect. The answer is The Fugitive.
I was thinking that.
The Fugitive. It's everything you want in Harrison Ford, plus the pain you say you enjoy, Coy, in What Lies Beneath, but all wrapped up in a better movie.
Don't bring Coy's masochism into this.
What's that?
Sure it was one of my three. That was one of my three.
Can I be honest? Can I be honest with you? I had this moment where I could not remember the name.
I mean, I have the floor, but go ahead.
I've never seen Air Force One.
You've never seen Air Force One?
I couldn't remember the name of The Fugitive. I blanked out. I Deer in the Headlights, and I didn't see the movie I've never seen.
I would love if you
was
would
going to
argue
give
for
you a
The
point.
Fugitive.
I mean, it doesn't matter, I think, now, does it? Or does it all come down to me?
No. It's already his.
Yeah.
So you were AJ as well? Okay. I just had to know.
Listen, because it's you're talking about what's his best role in Coy, you immediately thought you had to skirt genre. You don't. You can stay in the genre and find another great role like Indy and Han. I mean, someone put Witness in the comments as well. That's the movie that we're doing over at the Ford Fiesta, now available everywhere you can get an audio podcast, brought to you by the Movie Guys. We just recorded the Witness episode, which will be coming out soon. We dropped Return of the Jedi today with our guest Mark Ellis. Anyway, Coy, I think we'll see you on there at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost did the movie I'm doing on your channel, and you know what that is? It's a very different take from Mr. Ford. It's a certain sequel to a certain Will Ferrell movie.
Oh, right. Well, we're not going to miss it. We're going to cover them all. But the thing he started doing in Fugitive, in Witness, I'm sorry, that he employs brilliantly in The Fugitive is underplaying. He underplays things so exceptionally well. I mean, he does that a bit as Indy as well and Han Solo. But he is Harrison Ford as fuck, though, in Air Force One. So, I mean, from spouting tough words about the terrorists to and holding really together the best part of the movie. He and Oldman on the plane are the best part of the movie. All the Dean Stockwell, Glenn Close stuff going on the ground was not nearly as well played or paced, or it was, again, I refer to melodrama for how that all played out with people yelling at each other. It was a little more nuanced with Ford and Oldman up on the plane. So I go with Ford's performance in that over What Lies Beneath, which was a movie that's like 90% red herring, and then turns into a movie that I didn't think was quite as great.
I liked it. AJ, you should watch Air Force One.
It fell apart.
I
mean, yes, AJ. I mean, you get it. I was going to give you the point, but then I got to kind of take it away because what gives, man?
Imagine if AJ was just like, I'm going Air Force One, the part where he jumps off the dam, the part where he's chasing the one-armed man. It's such a great movie. It's like,
well, he's like, I didn't kill my wife.
The
yeah.
president's like
Tommy Lee Jones.
Shoot, he does not kill his
President's
wife.
like, you find this man.
Also,
I,
Presumed Innocent. I watched for the first time. I like that. Good movie.
Okay.
I fell asleep to one of the movies chosen, so that would be What Lies Beneath. But a movie that I did not fall asleep to is something I saw this very last night. Anyway, does this relate to the next question? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Anyway, our next question for the speed round. What classic fairy tale character deserves their own gritty reboot a la Violent Night?
Let's go. The Tooth Fairy.
Tooth Fairy?
A Selkie. The Scottish myth, the sirens that call sailors out to the sea to kill them. Selkie, they're fairy tale creatures.
Perfect. All right. So we will start with AJ for his 30-second opening statement quickly, and we'll get on with that.
I see the uphill battle I've suddenly chosen.
I'm gonna come out and say it just right, get it out of the way. That I'm not saying that the Tooth Fairy like Darkness Falls. No, we're gonna do something where it is a horror movie of a Tooth Fairy hunting adults, sure, but it goes back into that ancient folklore as well, where it's actually paying penance for sins, and we're gonna do some great shots in this. This is something where it can be a really manageable. I think I could see like a James Wan doing a great like Malignant style movie where you find out it's a Tooth Fairy after the trailer.
And time. Okay. All right. And now Coy to argue for a Silky or whatever in the world he just said.
Sometimes I'm too Irish, my own good. All right, so I want to see something in the world of Jaws again. I want something that makes you afraid of an element, something that makes you afraid of the water. One of the best parts of Wakanda Forever was that ominous song where they're drawing people to their deaths. That's based off the Selkie myth. This is a classic myth of Irish and Scottish folklore. I want to see people afraid of water itself. So I want a world where this quiet beachfront town, children's bodies start washing up, and the people in the town assume it's someone killing their children, but it's actually them drowning themselves, called to this beautiful
And
song.
time. Okay. Now our 15-second rebuttals, starting with AJ when you are ready.
I think there's a lot of fun that can be had with like telling siren stories, and like sure it can be something calm and like fear in the water, but there's already fear in the water. This is something where it's you can do almost a Freddy Krueger, afraid to go to sleep and actually making a sacrifice. I can even turn into directors into like a detective tale, and something that you can build something random where they find out it's a Tooth Fairy, fuckers.
And Coy for your 15 seconds.
I've seen I don't know how many slasher movies, and this sounds like a slasher movie. I want something that's atmospheric. I want something that's Jaws meets Nightmare. The Freddy Krueger. I want something that feels both slasher and atmospheric, and that to me is the siren song of someone literally losing their life out of their own control, and a town wrapped in horror, not knowing how to save them. And that detective story is way more interesting.
And time. Okay. All right. We go on to our judges. This time we start with John Lustrina.
Okay. Again, this is a very tough one, but ultimately, I think it comes down to that we already have our gritty film starring the Tooth Fairy, featuring the Tooth Fairy, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and featuring a very young Brendan the Kid Myra as a bully.
Yep, it's real,
and it's already a very classic film, and ultimately. After playing a bunch of God of War in the Norse mythology, I kind of want to see just Kratos fuck up some Selkies right now. But I gotta go with Coy.
And Mr. Paul Preston.
Well, picking the Tooth Fairy kind of sounds like the same thing as Santa. It's a character that comes into the house and deals with whatever's going on there. So we just are seeing that in Violent Night. So I like the idea of getting further away into something we don't know. Of course, could one of you just pick a hero? I mean, shit, these dark stories you guys got lodged in your brains. And I could deduct points to Coy for saying hominis, but
I'm so sick.
I know, but and the idea, like, hey, I'm going to spend my whole argument explaining what a Selkie is instead of what the movie idea I have. That both played against you, and you still convinced me. Also, I tore up AJ's card when I found out I didn't see Air Force One, so I got to go with Coy.
Well, I guess we know where his votes will fall
right.
from now on.
So John, we'll at least allow John Getz to just give your thoughts quick, even though Coy has won the round.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. He did have an uphill battle. I had no idea what a Selkie was. But it's a Scottish mermaid. Got it. And I haven't killed it in God of War, so that's why I didn't know what it was.
You could have maybe not know what it was.
Let the record show everyone scoffed at Selkies, and now we're all in for this Selkie horror.
As long as
Selkie
Kratos
water.
throws his axe at it or rips it up with the blades again. No.
Aaron, go broad.
All right.
Rips out the vocal cords. That'd be a good finisher.
A score update. I meant to do this before the previous question. I was just so ready to get everything right that I forgot to give everyone a score update. As the record stands, before this question, we were 3-3. Coy won the first 3. AJ came back with 3. Unprecedented, never has been seen before in movies for points in the show's history. Coy has now taken a 4 question, and if you remember, you need 5 rounds, 5 answers, 5 points to win, one might say. So Coy needs 1 more. AJ needs to win the next 2. It comes down to it. So this last question could be the last question. We don't know, but we're going to find out. And I hope you're ready with
But don't worry, we have other questions ready just in case.
We do have other questions ready just in case.
Let's win by 2.
Not win by 2. But anyways, we're going to go to our last question of our official speed round questions before the bonus speed round would commence if AJ were to win this. But this is our last question. I've not read this, so I'm going to pre-read it in my head quick while I vamp. I got it. Excellent. Let's do this. Which iconic character deserves their own Disney Plus miniseries? Taserface or Greedo?
Greedo.
Taserface. It's beautiful.
Excellent. AJ went last, so we will start with Coy. First.
Taserface is not only tied to the James Gunn universe, which is arguably much more interesting than recycling the Skywalker saga over and over and over again. We saw what happened with the Book of Boba Fett. I enjoy me some Mando, but boy, oh boy, am I excited for Andor to not talk about Skywalkers. That said, Taserface is James Gunn. It's going to be very underdog. It's going to be very R-rated. It's going to be a little darker, and it's played by Chris Sullivan. Chris Sullivan of This Is Us is one of the best actors working. You're going to get so much more depth, so much more pathos, so much more ego out of this character, so you're tied to a better universe, and you've got an actor already in play. I'm ready for Taserface. I'll buy the books now.
All right. Now, AJ with Greedo. When you're ready.
I'm going to do this nice and slow. The Taserface in the Guardians universe is a better version, a better universe than the Star Wars universe that takes place in the Star Wars universe. We're going to go Greedo do his own thing. It's going to be some wild, wacky adventures. The guy dies saying McClunky. He's got to have something really fun going on in his life. But to say that that's a better universe than Star Wars universe, I don't know how to deal with you.
And time. Excellent. All right. Well, I don't know how to deal with how much fun I'm having. Let's get to those rebuttals. 15 seconds. Coy, when you're ready.
I can't wait for the host to show up. Then we'll start.
We just got an incredible holiday special. That was the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, because that universe is very interesting still. The Star Wars universe, everyone has fallen off of to the point that we need things to be fresh and new again. I would rather see Taserface as a mercenary from space than Greedo, a guy whose biggest claim to fame is he may or may not have shot first. Being impotent is not a skill set.
And time. All right. And AJ, to end this potentially once and for all, we'll find out.
saying that Greedo is a part of the Skywalker story makes him irrelevant. It's kind of crazy because he has one interaction in the entire Skywalker story. We get to just go and see this entirely new character. We get to Andor. We get a Bad Batch, baby. We get to do something unique in the Star Wars universe that hasn't been seen anymore, and that's just a low level bounty hunter.
Okay, we start with Paul.
Oh,
What do you think about this question and the answers that you have heard? When you're ready, sir.
okay. Well, this is a stacked question. I mean, we're very lucky that they both picked somebody different because could have gone either way there. And I think the uphill climb is harder for Coy to come up with a reason to have a Taserface show, and I thought he did that quite well, and especially in the rebuttal, because AJ kind of said, no, the Star Wars universe totally is better than the Marvel universe, and Coy said, not at the moment, and that's something I get behind, and he made a great case for it too. And also, I don't know who AJ is talking to off camera, but that's unsettling. I'm going to go with Coy.
All right.
You only said that because you tore up AJ's card.
Also that. Yeah, also I can't vote for him. Sorry, buddy. I'm voting
John gets.
J.A.
Unfortunately, Paul can only afford 2 note cards.
This was kind of who wants it less at first, because you were both kind of, first of all, Coy brought up Andor right after saying that there's no variety in Star Wars and saying it's all about Skywalkers. He brings up the show that has nothing to do with Skywalkers and is completely different in Star Wars, which kind of made me think, oh, well, AJ.
I want to say no one was watching it because that didn't have Skywalker. So I'm saying
because it was during Halloween season. I was watching horror movies. Okay. Anyways, but then AJ said Marvel's not interesting, basically, which is where Guardians of the Galaxy takes place, which I kind of disagree with that too. But in the end, I think the Taserface show. Actually, the Greedo show sounded a little bit more interesting, just a little bit, just because he brought up that there's a lot of worlds to explore, and that's kind of true. In between, well, you were also wrong, AJ, in that we do see him in episode 1 as well. He's hanging out on Tatooine with Annie, I think. That might just be the same species. I may be being alienist there. I may be being speciesist.
He's in a deleted scene.
Oh, okay, that's where I saw it. Okay, well, anyways, yes, going with AJ.
Could have deleted more of them in that movie. Hey, okay.
All right.
Like Watto.
This is it. This is where all the marbles roll, and those marbles could continue rolling, but those marbles could be stopped by one Judge Toretto.
Poetic.
Wow.
As soon as before the round started, I wrote down the name of the character and circled it on my whiteboard. And let's just say that in the mid 90s, I did not have a Taserface action figure. I had a Greedo action figure. Greedo, let's fucking go!
Wow.
He wasn't
marbles
invented
continue
yet.
to roll despite
That was
Paul
kind of
trying to
subjective.
trash on my analogy. We are going to the final super speed round question. This is
Sudden
unprecedented.
Put all of our marbles in the pot, people. Let's do it.
We had to come up
Here
with
at What the Show
on
Love
the
Marbles.
fly. So we don't have a banner for it, but we're going to read it. Okay, this one I'm so excited we got to get to though,
Thank
and
you.
I promise we're gonna let Coy go take some more NyQuil and go to bed. But all right, everyone, this is for all the marbles. Okay, and a potential sequel to Southland Tales. What musical artist would you like to see in a dream sequence?
Eminem.
Let's go. Bad Bunny.
Okay. Coy answer first. We'll allow him to do the first 30 seconds.
Not only does Eminem represent the themes in Southland Tales, not only is Eminem an incredible actor, both in drama and in comedy, whether it's Judd Apatow or his own biography, 8 Mile, but Eminem represents the culture that Southland Tales represents. So thematically, comedically, dramatically, he is everything this movie wants to be. And he is a parallel to the Lou Pucci character in the film that plays a wankster set in this world. Eminem is literally the micro to the macro that is the world that was built. So in a dream sequence, you can tell a lot of a story. You could actually make the movie more linear just with casting the great Marshall Mathers who should do more things.
Time. Okay. And AJ.
You know who doesn't have the gravitas as an actor and the reputation yet? Bad Bunny. You know who didn't have really that reputation as a serious actor that much? Justin Timberlake. We can do something where, much like that Marilyn Monroe scene with the Killer song, we get to have that with Bad Bunny. I don't know, maybe even doing Rap God. Let's have some fun with this. He can do something wild and crazy. He did great stuff in Bullet Train that was really taking the piss out of himself, which is really what Richard Kelly did in that scene with making a talented musical artist lip sync in the first place.
And time. All right, Coy, with your 15-second rebuttal.
I feel like a character needs to be larger than life to be in the Richard Kelly universe. Look at everyone he casts. He's got, The Rock. He's got these big figures. He's got Sarah Michelle Gellar. Bad Bunny in Bullet Train was a supporting character for a reason. He might be the biggest star in the world, but he was very one note to me and very background. Eminem has never been outshined by anyone in 30 years. There's a reason he's Eminem. Slim Shady's the answer.
And AJ, your final 15 seconds.
Eminem doesn't need to be outshined. It's an ensemble movie. It's an ensemble story. Having Bad Bunny come in here, do something weird, it's much like going back to what Justin Timberlake did in the movie in the first place. So if we're going to do something wild, we're going to do something crazy, we need somebody to support the movie instead of take it over. Then we bring in somebody to do like Bad Bunny and do something wild.
And time. Okay. With our final question, our final answers, we are into the final round of the judges, starting with Judgmental John Getz. What say you about this mess?
I'm really biased towards Eminem as an artist, so I'm not sure if that's influencing this a lot. And also, I mean, if he sang Venom in the movie, that would be an Oscar-worthy performance, obviously. It's tough because I actually haven't seen Bullet Train, so I can't judge the other one's acting chops. This Bad Bunny fellow, who's apparently very popular. I'm sort of biased, but I have to go Eminem just based on my own ignorance, unfortunately, AJ. I couldn't picture, as you were describing it, what his performance would be like just because of that.
All right, and Judge Toretto.
You know what? This is a very interesting question, very important question, I think, for the time that we live in. But ultimately, I think it comes down to who has performed at WrestleMania wrestling in the ring. I don't recall Eminem showing up at WrestleMania, but Bad Bunny did, and Bad Bunny really brought it. I think that says a lot about him as a performer. So you know what? My vote goes to Bad Bunny, who I think I believe was AJ. So AJ, congratulations.
And what we've all been waiting for, the final question, coming down to the final judge, Mr. Judge Reinhold, Paul Preston himself. What say you?
Well, Eminem is awesome. He got to show his chops in a full movie. Bad Bunny got to show his chops for a minute and then die in Bullet Train. Not as good a movie as 8 Mile. But AJ, you kind of, I mean, it's okay that this happened because I think AJ, you kind of lost me with your opening statement, which is, hey, you know who's not a good actor? Bad Bunny. I went, well, okay. Yeah, I guess I kind of agree with you there. And perhaps there should be bias, like Judgmental John had. I think Eminem is better than What's Bad Bunny? He's just like a DJ, right, or something? Or does he rap? I mean, I don't even know.
He's a musician.
But he's a musician. That remains to be seen. Coy.
Wow. And your winner, Mr. Coy Jandreau,
Down to the
playing
Wow.
the Jordan flu game. If you didn't know and couldn't tell.
Let the record show. I could not speak an hour ago or 2 hours ago. I've been in here a while, and I just chugged Manuka honey, so I could do this. But I would never let AJ Lancaster down, and that's the last enunciation anybody's gonna get is AJ Lancaster. I knew he'd be a challenge. He always is. I didn't expect him to come back from a 3-0 deficit because who would? I was against the ropes. I was rope-a-doping that whole time because the man's got skill.
That was a good fight.
That was unbelievable. He sold his soul to Manuka to win this performance, and we are
So
so happy
expensive.
that he did.
Yeah.
But we do wish him the best and that he will get well soon. And please
Yeah, speak for
never do
yourself.
anything like this again. If we ever ask you to be on the show again, you're sick. Just say no.
Cancel.
please.
You know what?
Understand.
You can cancel.
If anyone ever says I'm not a man of my word, not only was I here on time, but I was here half dead.
That's true.
Yeah,
canceled.
He fought a long,
if he,
hard
I mean,
battle.
it was pointed out that if he did die, he automatically was disqualified.
That's just fair.
We
I
would
wouldn't be
just
able
have
to
to go
rebut.
on giving him time, and he's just sitting there with an empty camera. Okay, your time is up.
Just the Weekend at Bernie's movie points.
Oh.
He still ends up winning a point somehow.
Thank you, Coy, so much. AJ, anything you'd like to say before we wrap this up?
Just, I watch movie fights on YouTube, and now I competed against my favorite competitor, and that was kind of fun.
I don't see what
was
relevance
awesome
that
to
has.
play.
And almost took me out, dude. Came back.
Almost.
Like that was hard.
Now, the thing I'm going to say before we let everybody plug their stuff and go is we got up to 100 this week for the Fun for Josh that says, as of this moment, I am doubling that.
Dude, good man.
Very nice. Very
Who's
nice.
the real winner here? It's AJ.
No, it's this community. It's being able to get together and do fun stuff like this. Coy, thank you for coming on. Thank you for doing this. And once again,
Big thanks, Jeff.
cancel.
Let's let our,
That was
our
awesome.
Thank you.
let's let our judges plug away. Let's start with John Mastrina.
Family.
So you can always find me on Twitter at JON_LASTRINA. If you like Fast and Furious tweets, wrestling tweets, video game tweets, heavy metal music tweets, or anything like that, I'm your guy. If you like music stuff, you can catch me in the latest episode of PLD's Crown Jewels doing Killer Queen. It dropped last week. Also, you can find me on every now and then on the Montyverse, youtube.com/the Montyverse, talking about geek stuff, video game stuff with Monty. He's great. And also, I've done some episodes on the Fantastic Four podcast. It is the #1 Fantastic Four fancasted podcast on the internet, presumably. So check me out there. I did an episode on Justin Lin, if Justin Lin directed the Fantastic Four movie, and what if Jim Henson produced a Muppets film. And there might be something in the future involving some Law and or Order soon coming to that channel as well.
Awesome. John, thank you so much for coming on
Always a
tonight.
pleasure.
We'll
I'm
see
gonna
you soon.
feed
Thank you
this
for
cat
inviting.
boogie.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me on mere hours ago
Yeah.
when I was at
Thanks,
work.
buddy.
We are always very
I'm
prepared.
gonna feed
here,
this
Bush.
cat and boogie, but I didn't want to be rude. So much love to
No.
y'all. Keep doing the great work. I appreciate each and every
Gosh,
one of you.
thank you.
Coy, thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
Thank you so
Coy.
much.
See you, buddy.
Boy, that was really rude. He just left all of a sudden. Jeez, he just stuck around.
Hey, what was
What do you got to plug?
What was
what
that?
was Toretto's Twitter handle though? I need to get that because everything he mentioned.
Did we
he tweets
mean?
about,
Hang on.
I would
You got-
be interested in.
Yeah, we accidentally booted him.
JON_LAS Lustrina. LASTRINA. I believe John JON_LASTRINA.
I'm gonna follow you right. Everything you mentioned is like shit I want to hear about. Heavy metal. and wrestling and that.
Christina is a great Twitter follow. So
Hey, I am going to see my very first wrestling event, Monday Night Raw, next week in Milwaukee, and so I'm going to be following John Latrina for all of the wrestling updates, so that I know every single thing that is happening in the wrestling world. Because I don't watch it, but I want to.
He's that good.
Nice. I mean, they're fun shows live. Yeah, even AEW. I've been to 3 AEW shows this year because they've actually.
Oh, I'll enjoy it.
My area, New England, so they've been fun.
All right.
Have your drink and you're good to go.
Perfect. John Getz,
Grab.
what do you got to share with everyone?
I'm on Twitter at just my name, John_Getz, and I'm mainly doing the game streaming right now. Lately, a lot of God of War. Did about 2 hours more than I wanted to the other night because I started getting to the final bosses and that, and couldn't stop. And the next game, though, I think might be interesting to some. It's interesting to me because I have almost no idea what it is, but it's going to be Cthulhu Saves Christmas, which I bought purely on the title, and I'm anxious to figure out what that even plays like.
Very nice. Judge Reinhold.
Yes. Well, I mean, so much to plug going on at themovieguys.net. First of all, themovieguys.net. Go there and see everything. You can take a tour of LA. I started a tour business, the LA Film Locations Tour. So if you want to see where your favorite movies were shot, I will take you there in a tour that we customize together to only see movies that you love. Because I just realized I kind of look like Clark Griswold. I'm not going to say I don't. A little bit.
I see it.
Chin cleft and the hat and the sort of. So you can do that. You can get yourself a Ghostbusters party. I have a full-size 20-foot Ecto-1, and I go out and do parties. There's a link to there on themovieguys.net. But what I'm here mostly to plug is that Adam and I have put the gas down on the Ford Fiesta, which is my favorite thing that we're doing over there. We are doing one Harrison Ford movie per episode to run his entire career. We started with Dead Heat and a Merry-Go-Round. We're going to go through Call of the Wild. We're currently, like I said, we just posted Return of the Jedi today. The guests are flying in and out of the show fantastically. Like I said, we just posted one with Mark Ellis, and you can go back and listen to Apocalypse Now, where John Kaiser and Adam get absolutely faced, and I have to try and keep the show together. That's fun.
Wow.
And it's the best combination of what we do. It's a lot of comedy when we recap the film itself. It's just a bunch of jokes, and we talk about news about Harrison Ford, and we have the guest on to talk about the movie itself. And we cover every aspect of it. So it's fun facts, it's comedy, and it's like great insight with cool guests. I mean, it's the package. So
All right.
As hard as
I do
we're
have a
working on this
quick
show
question.
now, I needed to get out and plug it. So go check it out.
We learned two things from this stream. Coy will be invited on for What Lies Beneath, and AJ will never be invited on. With that,
I do have a
going
quick question.
to-
One quick question.
He watches Air Force One.
One quick question. Are you
Yeah.
covering Thunderbolt Ross having a mustache with Harrison Ford? Now that he's going to be
we
Thunderbolt
have
Ross in the MCU? Yeah,
Is
he's
that a
going to
news
have a
thing?
mustache.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
okay.
Yeah, John Hurt's character.
Is there a
So
is there
that's-
like a Henry Cavill controversy going on with this or something? What is?
No, just look up Harrison Ford with a mustache. It's amazing.
All right, cool. I mean, but listen, how great is it that he was supposed to retire apparently with this new Indiana Jones movie? Because I think John Williams said that he's retiring along with it. Like he's got two TV shows in the works. He's got Shrinking and he's got this 1923 coming out. But they're both going to be out before Indiana Jones. So he said, "Oh, maybe he is retiring." Then he gets cast as Thunderbolt. I'm like, "Yes, let's keep going with the Ford Fiesta. Let's keep the Ford train going." But I am absolutely going to look that up. Is he growing a mustache right now for the shoot? Is that it? So he looks nuts.
Well, the character has only ever been seen with a mustache, and like the last time they had a mustache was, I want to say, in the early 90s, late 80s, and it was between shoots. It's great mustache. Horrible for his face.
Yeah, there's not a lot of Ford mustache out there, even in the pre American Graffiti stuff, of which we found out that's like 7 movies. There's I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that yet. So I will prepare myself fully for the Ford mustache and maybe change the name of the show. The Ford mustache.
Will you grow your own mustache in preparation?
In solidarity?
About that, yeah.
I don't think I can. That's the thing. I'm baby faced. It's crazy.
And Paul, as a tradition, will be in contact with you real soon about something we do annually with the Movie Guys each
And
January.
it is a hilarious thing. As if the Bob Chapek is Gone celebration stream wasn't funny enough. This yearly thing, just in concept, is hilarious. So absolutely.
We'll figure out the official date for that soon.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Paul.
For stopping by.
Goodbye, gang.
So you will see Paul again, and you will
Very soon.
always see us and our smiling faces each week.
Tonight was a good one. Tonight was fun. That was a really good, healthy competition. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being on the DCAM. Good work, team.
So I'm gonna actually run off for a second, but I will say just a quick. We're doing plugs. Everybody obviously about the show every week. You can also catch me every Tuesday night on PJ Campbell Network with Chance Ellison and Jacob London on Left Side Strong Side, talking all things NFL. So I'm going to run off for a second. Thank you all tonight. That was fun.
So much fun.
Well,
we don't plug ourselves.
No, we don't do that. But we do have a little moment that we need to share, I guess.
Yeah.
Do something we need to know.
Okay. All right.
I saw Wallace Shawn die. Wallace Shawn is dead.
It's 2 minutes for roping. I like that. You're a jabroni.